Welcome back. We're with Gail Nelson from Journey Counseling talking about bullying in the workplace. I think the biggest thing to do is, so you said, all right, Chris, it's sort of subjective. You know if someone's bullying you. So what's the appropriate actions? If that's happening, do you just confront the person right there? Or do you come back later and say, you know what, I feel like that was inappropriate behavior? What's the strategy?
Well, I think we see this dance too, Chris, where somebody's probably overly aggressive and then somebody else is more under assertive. So you get that balance between people where they're kind of a bad match that way for somebody who says too much and somebody who says too little. So if I was in that position, I would encourage somebody, again, to appropriately more accurately express themselves. And I like this little phrase I teach people, like, hey, you know, that doesn't work for me. So if somebody's kind of that way, it feels like they're threatening, like, you know, and even just, I've been taught by law enforcement when there's a domestic kind of thing, if you just kind of give somebody that, boy, calm down, you know, that doesn't work for me. So even just by putting your hands up and saying, you know, in a way, you're sort of telling that person to back off in a sense.
Really? And even push them down like that too? Like...
Even just be able to say, just a minute, you know, wait, let's just calm down. Can you back off for a little bit, because that's too much for me. This doesn't work for me. In conflict management too, when you keep it centered on yourself, maybe that's gives that other person a second chance to think, oh, well, maybe I am in their grill, and maybe they will have a chance to calm themselves down. Now, that's not always going to work. I mean, even in the bullying literature that you look at, people should talk about, you know, do they have a letter opener on their desk? Somebody could be violent that way. Do you have things in your environment? Are you isolated in a back corner office where nobody can even hear you if you yelled or threw something? Or is there no way for employees to help each other with that? Because sometimes you'll be sitting in an office hearing somebody yell, and you're like, what should I do?
Right.
Should I go? Should I talk to somebody? Again, that's that point where people kind of have to act.
Should you, even if that means taking notes about when that happened, the date, the time, what you heard coming through that office door?
On this day at this time, this is what I heard, this is what I saw, this is what I observed. That's good for the individual themselves who's being bullied to do as well. Not all HR departments are really, you know, maybe accurately staffed up to handle all this. They should be, but a lot of times maybe that's more, especially a smaller company, it's more the payroll function than the human relations, employee relations function. So sometimes they get pushed too far, and I think that often happens when you get maybe the smaller company with maybe an owner boss, and somebody's just overpowering a situation and people feel powerless. So you want to find a way where you can find that power for yourself and manage that relationship better.
But how do you do it when you've got a smaller company like that? Is it sort of a matter of documenting everything and then looking for another job and presenting it and saying, this is what I've got, this is what you did to me at this time and place?
Yeah. Exactly. I've often recommended to people, like, really, can you manage this? Can you fix this? Might be better for you to get out of that situation.
But if you need a job, what do you do?
Well, that's the dilemma, isn't it?
Yeah.
How much power do you have to fix something? You know, people do go the legal route, and there are rules about harassment and trying to manage that. But again, a lot of that, you know, especially the legal part, applies to larger companies. So you can feel really powerless. But again, get help, talk to somebody. Counselors are good at that, at helping you stand up for your rights, helping you communicate, be more self-expressed, and use some of that power. But again, it's that balance. Sometimes it's somebody overdoing it and somebody underdoing it, you know, by not really getting a more accurate communication where they can work together.
It really impacts your work too, doesn't it?
Absenteeism, I mean, it costs billions in what people are not doing while they're so busy and anxious and fearful and off track and filing, you know, workers' comp claims and stress claims and all kinds of things. So we really do need to be more effective in our communication. It all comes down to, can you say what you need to say? So,
Got about 30 seconds. Anything else you want to share?
Well, I hope that if somebody's feeling like this, where they're watching this, that they would reach out, that they would talk to somebody, you know, and if they do just want to give a call or reach out to a counselor, or if you have an employee assistance program, those are really good resources.
All right, Gail Nelson, Journey Counseling, thank you so much for all the advice this morning. Okay, stay close. We'll be right back.